right, now, Paul, I'm going to ask you the toughest question of all.
Yeah,
and this
sure.
is the question. St. Paul famously said, exercise is of absolutely almost no value.
Well, no, he didn't say that. He said exercise is good.
Oh, okay.
But spending time with God, building a relationship with God, is of more benefit.
Okay.
The Bible talks about salvation. The primary emphasis is building our relationship with God.
So he's writing to this young pastor.
Yeah, and he said physical exercise is good.
Okay.
But he said far more important than that
Okay.
is working on our relationship with
So
God.
he's kind of like telling young Timothy, you're saying, hey, young Timothy, you know, rushing to the gym every single day, becoming a fanatic on exercise.
Yeah, simply just to build muscle and to look good for the women. No, that's not where you're going,
Okay.
Timothy. It's about building a relationship with
And the
God.
Bible's about the...
It's about building a relationship with God.
Okay, knowing God better.
Yeah.
And you can know God better whether you're slim or fat or exercised or not exercised.
Yeah, you can, James.
Yeah.
However, the Bible also says that our temples are the body of God,
Okay.
and that God dwells in us.
Okay.
And there's implication there that we should honour our bodies and
Okay.
maximise the ability we have within our bodies.
Okay.
So if you have the ability to lose weight, the ability to get exercise, it means your body's going to be functioning better,
Okay.
and you're going to be better able to worship God
And I
serve God.
think it's not one or the other. Like you could, you know, Bruce, in your life, you know, you've been a real exerciser, but you can actually exercise and work out and have a relationship with God all at the same time.
Yeah.
And lots of guys do that. In fact, the exercise fires up your brain so you think clearer, you're actually able to operate at a higher level, and so your relationship with God's going to be better.
Okay. So our bodies are... sorry, Bruce?
And sometimes when you do need some help with inside, you know, you don't feel like going out there, a little bit of help goes a long way inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
A bit of God motivation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So God helps you quite literally get out there and run when you're not feeling like doing anything.
And James, the other thing that happens is you get out there and you're exercising, and things clarify themselves when you go out 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes of exercise. And it's amazing how things in life sort themselves out, and priorities are a lot easier to do when you're actually out there working physically.
Well, Paul, you'll be proud of me. You know, I go out at 6 a.m. in the morning with my dog.
Fantastic.
And the dog's great motivation. You know, you get out there, you look up at the starry sky, the moon shining so brightly, you walk through the forest, and you just start thinking about God. It's automatic. Yeah. Just touching in tune with yourself and with nature, and yeah. Now, Neil's exercising pretty hard. He's building a house.
Yeah, I have been. In fact, we're just moving in at the moment, and just about all settled in. So it's been a 12, 18-month process.
It's hard work, isn't it?
It is very hard work.
Yeah. After all, it's a good book that said work's a curse, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, maybe not quite in that way. I mean, people can think that work is, but actually I think work is a real blessing. But what God said in Genesis 3 is that the ground would be cursed. And so you've got to ask, well, why was the ground cursed? Well, imagine if life was just easy and we're living in a world filled with sin and it was just easy all the time. If that was the case, you could get really messed up. So God said, well, no, the ground's going to be cursed, so now it's going to require even more work, more sweat. So he said, you know, by the sweat of your brow, you're going to actually now till the soil, and it's going to produce thistles and thorns and so on. So this change because of sin came, and work is now a little harder.
Okay, but what was it like before they sinned? Before they did wrong?
Well, before they did wrong, they still had to work.
They just lie in a hammock in the Garden of Eden?
Well, not quite. I mean, the Lord God planted this garden, it says in Genesis 2, and then placed Adam and Eve in the midst of that garden and said to them to tend the garden, to care for the garden, to work it. And so they were to be workers in that place. They weren't just to sit around and, you know, sip a pina colada and take it easy.
And of course, what word do we use, Paul, to describe those that don't work?
Sluggards or lazy.
Lazy, yeah, no, it is, isn't it?
Sluggards, there's a word.
Sluggards, go to the ants. They are sluggards, the old translation of the Bible said.
Oh, who said that?
That, Solomon actually says it in Proverbs.
Okay.
Go and see what the ants do.
Okay.
And he said if you don't work, you're not going to get anything to eat.
Actually, ants are busy.
They always are busy.
You can't call ants a bunch of busy beavers, but they're just forever just walking around everywhere frenetically.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Bible tells us to look at that as an example.
As an example of how to exercise,
How to
how to work hard.
How to work, yeah.
Like Neil being with us, building his house at the moment, if he hadn't been fit, because Neil does a bit of exercise apart from his 8-hour job every day, and he's actually extended himself over the last 12 months building his home. If he hadn't been fit, he wouldn't be able to do that.
That's
Is
right.
that true, Neil?
Yeah, no, absolutely true. Well, you know, without that sort of extra fitness, by the time you actually go working through late at night doing the extra, your body just fall apart.
But it's not just Fitness, going out there at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting exercise, it's part of your daily routine.
Yeah.
Getting up out of the chair,
Part of
going for a
everything you
walk. Walk up the stairs.
Bit like the disciples long ago. Most of them did die early, didn't they, Neil? They were...
They did, and that was rather a sort of sad thing about the disciples, because they were martyred and all sorts of things.
Did any live a long life?
Yeah, the Apostle John lived right into his 90s.
90s.
So there he was, exiled away on the Isle of Patmos. But even then, even in his old age, the legend has it that he would visit the churches, and his mode of transport, the good old biped, walking.
He just walked his way around the ancient world?
He walked his way around the ancient world, and he would visit the church, and they'd say, "John, have you got a word for us today?" And he says, "Yes, love one another."
Oh.
And but all the while, exercising.
And then he walked on.
And he walked
Hundreds of kilometres.
Hundreds.
Thousands.
Yeah. Even in his 90s.
Yep.
He was still walking and exercising. Just amazing when you think about it. Did any record that they ever went to the gym? I'm thinking about it. There must have been, because St. Paul told Timothy, don't worry about the gym too much. That was the context, wasn't it?
And look, the Greeks had this obsession with the beautiful body and physical fitness. Marathons were first run back in the Greek. The Olympics was all there.
When I look in the mirror, sometimes I get a little bit obsessed with the need to be physically...
Well, James, yes.
Dearie me. But anyway, are there any stories in the Bible about exercise that strike your mind?
Yeah, well, one that really comes to mind is after Jesus' death, he rose up from the dead, and a couple of the disciples were walking to a town about 5, 6, 7 kilometres out of Jerusalem. And Jesus met them and walked with them. Okay. And it was while they were walking that Jesus explained to them what would happen. They were really confused. Okay. And it was in that process, probably an hour or so of walking together, that Jesus actually clarified the situation for them.
Okay. Oh, man, that's amazing when you think about it. So they're just walking and talking on this...
Walking and talking.
Yeah.
And that's when everything that had happened over that weekend fell into place for these fellas.
Oh, true.
Yeah, because they were confused. They thought it was all over.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't. Jesus had risen from the dead. And everything that happened was to fulfill...
with this whole thing too, like I mentioned in the prayer before, that exercise with friends, with companions, is so much better. So here they were, two of them walking on the road to Emmaus in Luke 24, walking with Jesus, and the whole thing then becomes a conversational exercise, if you like, which leads to a whole change.
Yeah, come on, Heather, come on, sit down. Hey, what was it like in the kitchen?
Oh, good fun. Yeah. Hey, that's where the heat is.
Did he let you try
it? And that's where the food
is. Did he let you try it?
Yeah, he did.
He did? It was nice?
He's a good cook.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
I want to borrow him as a chef or something. I think every woman should have her own chef.
Well, look, Heather, tell us about your exercise program.
Well, as you know, after the old cement truck up the boot trick, there hasn't been a lot of exercise. And
so your body's basically in pain.
Oh, it has been. But now that the pain levels are setting, I'm really looking forward to... I have a program. I work the anaerobic every second day for 3 days a week is my program. And it's a DVD with gold medal Olympians. And
how are you starting out?
Gently on a 15-minute one cycle.
I think that's the key when you get into an exercise program, is to start out gently.
Yes.
You don't want to go out the first day and do an hour's walk.
Well, there's 3 circuits,
just start with 5 minutes.
45 minutes.
And what you've got to, you just need to start 5 minutes a day, just walking, and gradually build it up.
Oh, that's the aerobic. So what I do for the aerobic is a DVD from Marie Windsor, the Pilates, that I can do in my own home, even when it's cold and snowing. Outside. I can still work with all these people from a Hollywood studio. So how good's that?
So you stick it in the TV?
I stick it in the TV. So every second day I'm training with gold medal Olympians, and on the other second day, alternate days, I'm training in a little studio from Hollywood, all in my little lounge. It's great.
But you can do that if you want to, and that's great.
But I like walking too, although I miss the Brisbane sunshine.
The key is to make a commitment to yourself.
Yes.
And so I want to do something about this, and then to do it. And as I said, it's just as simple as walking around the block to start with.
Yes.
Don't push it, but then build up slowly.
Bruce, you were just saying before, that it's something that you actually have made a commitment to yourself now, and you actually look forward to that start to the day, don't you?
That's right. Oh, yeah. When you start your day right, your whole day's right.
Before the cement truck got me, I used to walk 5Ks in an hour around the Brisbane River, and it was just, it just set your whole day, and like you say, you're thinking, clarifying, praying, whatever, and because life without that is difficult. You need to exercise every day.
So to someone who's feeling guilty, about the lack of exercise, who's stuck with pain because of the circumstances of life, I mean, what practical advice are you going to give? Paul, you're the professional.
Yeah, and look, everyone's situation is different, and it's very, very important that if you've got pain or if you've got some other medical condition, that you go and talk to your doctor about it before you embark on anything like that, and do it with doctor's advice.
Okay.
But even people with intense pain, the aim is to try and keep them active and physical. Because if you stop being active, if you stop being physical, it's the start of a very steep downward spiral.
Yeah.
Well, it's very good to be reminded today that the Holy Bible does say that exercise is good. It's good for us, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's a wonderful thing to do, but the point of the Holy Bible is that there's life beyond this life. There's life beyond death. And I guess the main reason the Bible doesn't talk a whole lot about exercise, Paul, is that its main point is what?
His main point is salvation.
Yeah, salvation.
And, James, it's a totally different culture. There was no cars, no motorbikes.
Well,
everything was walking in those days.
Yeah, well,